All right, do I have you? Audio, video. All right, let's do it. Welcome, everybody. We're back on another edition of The Sandwich Corner. It's good to have you with us. My name is Dave Medina. You know me as Dave. He's eating a sandwich on many different platforms. And this is our companion show to The Sandwich Show, which we normally do over on Twitch. So all this is content that I would consider bonus content between each of the sandwich shows we do over on our live streaming platform. And this is live too, so if you ever want to catch us in real time, you can go to youtube.com, look for, or you're on your YouTube app, look for Davey's Eating a Sandwich there, and we do the Sandwich Corner once a week. So we're excited to once again bring in our NBA guru, Chris in Georgia, to cover the latest happenings in the NBA offseason and a lot more, of course. And we had an exciting announcement to make before we bring Chris on to chat about NBA and baseball, whatever else is on our mind of the potpourri from the summer. Summer League's just started, actually. Summer League just started last week, so pretty exciting stuff all the way around. The offseason seems to be the biggest thing that happens in the NBA. We've had a lot to cover there as well. DeMar DeRozan gets a new team. There's a new team for Klay Thompson in Dallas. And the Lakers were trying to get some of these big names. Didn't happen. Instead, they settled for a new coach, which I think a lot of people have lampooned, but I think it could be a decent hire. We talked about this in previous shows. We had been talking about JJ Redick as a possible Lakers coach. It has happened. The Lakers have hired JJ Redick. I don't know if we even covered that on a previous show. I think we've gone a bit before since our last NBA show, so I think we didn't cover it. And I mean, honestly, I think it could have a chance. Could do worse. So there's that. And that's a lot to cover. So anyway, all this to say, we're gonna cover NBA. Chris has just joined us in the call, but before we bring in him, and I want to announce that the two of us are gonna come back, and we will be on Twitch. We will be on the big show, the Sandwich Show, next week. Join us on Tuesday, the 16th, as I haven't confirmed that yet. Chris, I'm sorry about that, but pretty soon after that, the two of us are going to be doing a Nicolas Cage movies tier list show on the big show. I'm really excited. Chris, welcome back into the show. It is so nice to have you back with us. How's it going tonight?
Good. I need to bone up on my Nicolas Cage filmography. Not only is there a lot that I've not seen, but also there's a lot I haven't seen in a while.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, I can't think of a good example, but there are movies of his in his filmography that I like and I've seen, but it's probably been decades. So, and he has 120 films on IMDb listed as an actor. So,
I think that's the biggest thing that surprised both of us, really. We did not realize he did that many movies.
I kind of knew. Because late Nick Cage has been like busy, because because he went into like bankruptcy and he owns all those castles and stuff, and so he's been making movies in Europe for like years, and a lot of them don't get like a major theatrical release, but they're still movies and they're on IMDb, and I think most of them are crap, but I don't know. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But
no, it's great. It's a great tease it's a great preview of next week's show. I am really excited to do this, and I'm very curious where the chat's going to weigh in. Those of you who've been following the Sandwich Show over on Twitch, you love it. We do all these tier lists all the time, and this is a particularly good This will be a particularly good topic. I'm so grateful that there is so much inventory that we can go to. We'll be assigning letter grades to each of the movies. I probably would only know like a small percentage of like the entire filmography, to be honest. Whatever I've seen even less. So I will lean on all of you watching the show to help us with the rankings. I think it's a great career. I'll tell you what, even with all the rubble of recent vintage, I still think Nicolas Cage has had a really, really great career. Like 40 years of filmmaking, right? For him, 40 years?
It's been, yeah. I mean, I think the first movie I saw him in was Valley Girl.
Yeah,
you remember that? That's from the 80s.
Yeah.
That was like 82 82 or 83. I mean, that is an old movie.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and like I said, I like some of his like major films. Like I've never seen any of the National Treasure movies. Have you seen those?
No, but you know what? I thought maybe I saw the first one.
Okay.
It looks like a really really fun movie. Like I have to give a lot. That looked like it looks like a dope idea for a movie anyway. So I may need to go to Disney Plus and locate that one and see it because like that just looked like a fun idea for a movie. So
It looks like it might be a gateway drug to like QAnon and stuff, though. That's the one thing.
That's fair. That's fair.
But
yeah.
But yeah, maybe I'll it's probably on Disney Plus, right? I mean,
it's a Disney movie. I mean,
yeah.
Unless they're just really concerned about the potential QAnon gateway potential. I'm pretty sure it's on there.
I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. Silly. But I think we're gonna have to depend on the Sandwich Show regulars.
Yeah, 1000%.
Kind of fill in some of the blanks,
yeah.
Right? Because it seems like me and you, there's a few things we haven't watched.
So. Yeah, 1000%. I mean, we'll do really well with like the early stuff, like Raising Arizona, Leaving Las Vegas, right? Like things like that. Like we know all the big movies, The Rock, Con Air, Face Off. Like we'll tell you all about those. Everything in the middle.
And I have a good Rock story that I'll drop on you because I've never seen The Rock, or I saw the first 5 minutes, but I'll drop that on you. Wild at Heart is another one. David Lynch. Yeah. From like late 80s, I think. Okay. And Nicolas Cage is in that, and that one's good. But no, I'm excited for the conversation and discussion, Dave.
I am too. I'm excited to have our chat join us for that, or Twitch chat join us for that. It's gonna combined. We are gonna do a great job, like putting these together. And listen, we might have some decisions that might get scrutinized by the people of the Sandwich Show. we'll see if the sandwichers will agree with it or not. Well, we're gonna find out. But it'll be really fun to do. And I know very few people. ACQ actually was one of them, but there are a few people I know who are really know movies, who've seen a lot of movies, who appreciate cinema. I know you're one of them, Chris, and it's been great getting to chat movies whenever we can together. It's a good time.
I love movies. The genesis of this was I randomly late night asked you what your favorite Nick Cage movie was. And you know me, I love random questions. You really lived up to the billing of a random question. That really came out of nowhere. I was like, what? Well, about a year ago, I also asked you, what was your favorite? It was Van Damme. I asked you what your favorite Van Damme movie was.
Oh boy, that is probably another 120 movies we could look at. Most of them are bad, but it would be great to investigate those anyway.
So that'll be next week. So we'll be
next week. Oh, that'll be week after. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The next one will be. Oh my gosh, that'd be funny if we ended up doing, if France did end up winning like the Euro 2024, then we did that like right after that, like such a segue. It'd be a good lead in.
Well, he's Belgian, all right.
Oh, he's Belgian. Okay, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, he's the muscles from Brussels.
Oh, okay. Good call.
He might take offense to you thinking he's French, but it's okay.
Right? No, that's true. Belgium did have their moments in the tournament, though. Like they did.
Oh, they're good.
They're pretty good. All right, so let's segue into our topic tonight. I mean, there really isn't a major topic, to be honest with you. This is just kind of us shooting the shit, but we can talk a little bit about the NBA's offseason so far. And I don't want to spend too much time on the JJ Redick thing. It's been covered to death, much like Bronny. Like we've established that Bronny is way overcovered in sports media. Like I have never seen such a mediocre player get this much attention, like ever. Like it's incredible. Like but anyway, I mean, JJ Redick, it's not Dan Hurley, and obviously the Lakers not getting him is a huge disappointment. However, I don't think it's as bad as people think. I think it's got legs. It's certainly, you could do worse. It's at least different. So maybe I'll get your thoughts on it first, and then I'm gonna take it from there.
The Redick thing?
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm most disappointed just because I loved his podcast. I enjoyed watching him on ESPN. Doing the the big games and the finals and all that with Doris Burke and and why am I drawing a blank on the play-by-play guy? Mike Breen.
Mike Green.
Sorry.
Yep.
And so I always appreciated his insight. As a coach, I mean, who knows? But I think he'll be fine. I'm not, I think the last time we talked about it, I think I was just kind of curious of like what kind of staff he could assemble and all that. But he seems like he's brought in some good assistants, and so yeah, I don't. If I were a Laker fan, I'd be fine with this. I mean, seems like a good hire. So he's a smart guy. Like him.
Yeah. I guess what I'm hoping for is that the team will respond to him. I mean, it's hard to say. There's a real mix of like veterans and young players, and it's mostly veterans, obviously, but it'll be interesting. Like, why not? I guess it's kind of like this will either be good or it'll be a complete total meltdown. And I'm like, you know what? Both of those will be entertaining. So I'm probably good with either of those. And
no, I mean, I think he'll be fine. It's really more the question of like what does the roster look like, and the Lakers haven't made a ton of moves. I mean, they've been kind of sitting it out. But do you want to talk draft? It looks like you brought up the draft board. So
yeah, I'm gonna get into that in a second. We have some key things to get into in front of that, but basically, but that's basically right. I mean, that's pretty much the biggest thing. Like we had as far as coaching news is concerned, the other coaching news, the former coach of the Cavs, which again, I still think the Cavs there was an interesting backstory to that. I think you cited this. There was some tension between the players and JB Bickerstaff, which is interesting. Like I did not know about that. He seemed like a good coach to me, but so it happened, and so I guess it didn't work out, but it's certainly not the worst thing in the world. I don't know. It's now we have him going to the Pistons, and I think for a man who actually coached the Cavs to be a pretty competent team, I'm not in. It's, honestly, he got those guys to the playoffs. Like you could do a lot worse than that. Great. It was all. I mean, Donovan Mitchell is a big part of that, no doubt. But I think he's going to be a good. I think he's good. This is a pretty good building block kind of coach. He can probably work with a young team, and I hopefully the players will get along with him better in Detroit than they did in Cleveland. I think it's a good move. Like, what is your thought on Bickerstaff?
Yeah, I think it's a good move. Just getting back to just real quick on the Cavs thing, you'll notice that. So Bickerstaff got ousted about 2 weeks later. Mitchell signed that extension. So I think that was this week, right? It was a 3-year. 5 days ago, he signed a 3-year extension. Mm-hmm. So there's definitely. I mean, you kind of read between the lines of those two moves, like consecutively.
Yeah.
Monty was a bad fit in Detroit. Did some real head scratching moves. At Jaden Ivey, didn't play like some of his young guys. Got hurt by the Cade injury last year. Monty was only there this year, right? So Cade, coming off the injury, was kind of on like a I wouldn't say a minutes restriction, but there were several games. He would sit out a lot of games because they wanted to protect their investment there. So yeah, I think Bickerstaff's a good hire. I think he'll help that young team, and but Detroit's such a mess. I hope it works out for them, because it's a great basketball market. Michigan is like a big basketball, college level. There's tons of guys who come out of the Detroit area and out of the Midwest. So they deserve a good team. And so I'd love to see them kind of ascend again and not be the dregs that they are right now. So,
right.
But yeah, I like it a lot. I look forward to seeing what he does there with Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it's a team that had a really rough start, but I do think that there are pieces that could make the Pistons be better than they had been, at least. So kind of good, I guess, is what you're hoping for with Detroit. So we'll see. Now let's just quickly cover all the free agency so far. The biggest name, Paul George. signing with let me see. He did get an offer from the Clippers, interestingly enough. Like, he did, but instead, he wound up going to Philadelphia. Yeah, that's interesting. Playoff P in Philly. We're gonna see how well that goes in the playoffs that year, if they get there. But let's go take a look at it. So anyway, there are a lot of things to cover. DeRozan goes to the Sacramento Kings. I mentioned earlier that Klay Thompson parted ways with the Golden State Warriors. No surprise at all, really. But he's getting old. He's getting up there. It's like, it's hard to say how much he's got left. But he ended up settling for, I thought, Dallas. I'm trying to remember where he went, but
wait, who's that?
Klay Thompson.
Klay he's with Dallas.
Okay, yeah. So he went to Dallas. But the Warriors don't go into empty-handed. Buddy Hield signs with the Warriors. Not to say that he's a replacement that he could possibly replace Klay Thompson. I mean, Thompson is probably going to be a Hall of Famer one day. He's just had some amazing games in his career.
Oh, he's a Hall of Famer. There's no question.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the great shooters of all time. 2 points about those two free signings that you mentioned. Technically, both signing trades.
Right.
So,
right.
The Klay Thompson was actually a 6-team trade in the NBA, which has never happened before.
Yep.
Which is really interesting to me. So
yeah,
they didn't sign him directly. And what was the other deal? It was the DeRozan deal. It was a 3-team trade. It was the Bulls and it was Bulls, Spurs. I think the Spurs were involved. It was the Bulls, Spurs, and Sacramento.
Yeah.
And somehow the Spurs came out with draft picks on that, which is amazing. But yeah, no, those were the two big ones. And Klay, I don't know how much he has left, but he's kind of gonna fill the role that like Josh Green filled, where they'll just kind of put him in the corner, I think, and just be like, okay, well, Luka and Kyrie are going to drive and kick a lot, and just be ready, because you're going to get some shots there. So we'll see. But I think it's kind of a nice role for him in this stage of his career, and I think it could work. So we'll see.
Yeah, this is big. I think the idea that he's not the number one guy on the team is going to help him. Like, maybe he wanted to do that, but I think he's a better player as a second option or a third option, because he's so good at those those corner threes or other threes from anywhere, really. But he's great at just setting himself up for an outside shot, making himself free, and then being that other guy that can get you some points. And he's been so good at that. Like, how many 50-point games has he had in his career? How many? He had one game where he had a record for 3 quarters. Like, it was in 3 quarters. That guy can really shoot. He's so good. So, any other free agency or trades that you want to get into here? There were a lot of moves, but obviously the biggest names had been covered just a few minutes ago with our recap.
What were the other ones that I want to talk about? We mentioned that. Oh, you didn't mention Chris Paul signed with the Spurs, which seems like a nice fit, because they need a point guard in the worst way there. They kind of went out. They kind of went the entire season without one last year. So, and Paul, even at 39, he's kind of like one of those guys. He always seems to make the team he comes to better, and he's so smart. So I think that's a good fit. I mean, that again, guy at the end of his career, 39 years old, but can still play, and he's almost like, I almost see him like he could be kind of like function as like a second coach or an assistant in that regard. The other ones, Denver got hit pretty hard. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope signed a deal with Orlando, and that's huge, because he was one of their, he was like their prototypical 3-and-D guy, good defense, good shooter, and was kind of a safety valve, for Murray and Jokic, and losing him is significant. So, and shooting is exactly what Orlando needed. So that was a good move by the Magic, in my opinion, because they don't, they're not a very good shooting team, and they needed that kind of scoring. And he still fits in with their personnel because he's an excellent defender. What were the others? The big trade here that Hawks fans are buzzing about was DeJounte Murray got traded, and that was a big trade to New Orleans. And they got Dyson Daniels and Larry Nance Jr. back, and a bunch of draft picks. So Atlanta kind of had their cupboard was bare after the first Murray trade. So they recouped some picks. Dyson Daniels, I've kind of been a low-key fan on the last few years. And, Australian player, he'll be on the Olympic team this summer. And good player. And I like what I've seen of him in limited time. He's a kind of a big point guard. So I think it could be a nice pairing with Trey. What are some of the other big ones? Some of the guys who re-signed, we might have talked about it. Pascal Siakam, he's signed very, very early. OG re-signed with the Knicks. Siakam again with the Pacers. Isaiah Hartenstein goes from the Knicks to Oklahoma City, which is interesting because they use the slot that they used for Gordon Hayward, which I was very critical of at the time, to fit in Hartenstein, as people pronounce it. I always get corrected watching games, and people are like, "Yeah, no, it's Hartenstein." Oh, okay, I was pronouncing it wrong the whole time. So Isaiah Hartenstein to Oklahoma City, which is a nice move because they really need size, good defender, and just a good all-round player. And I think he'll fit in nicely with that team because they just needed bigs. That's what killed them in the Dallas series. What other ones? Do you have any others that come to mind?
LeBron was a big one because he opted out of the remainder of his contract, and then he signed to a 2-year, $104 million max extension to return to the Lakers, which nothing really surprising about that at all. But it is a significant move because there was speculation as to whether he would actually return to the Lakers, but he did so in the most efficient way possible from his point of view, and it looks like it was a good move from LeBron's point of view. And LeBron's still playing at a very high level, and it's only a 2-year deal, so if things do fall apart, it's only 2 years. At worst, you get 1 year of dead contract space. But it would still probably, it would still, I imagine, it would still be probably in the Lakers' best interest if he did have a productive year this year. Everything says it's going to happen, but we don't know. When you've played as many years as LeBron has played, there's no way to say. But at least at the moment, it seems like a decent idea, and definitely a big move on LeBron. We know that he. No, I'm not going to say he forced them to do it. I think there's mutual interest in this, so I'm not going to go there. But it was obvious that that they wanted his son, Bronny James, on the Lakers. It's long, drawn-up anticipation for this. It happened in the draft. And here we are. So they are both in the same team, much to the chagrin of some. But as a result of that, LeBron put particular interest in returning to the team. So he is back on the team. I think it's a solid move, though. You do worry about this a bit because I know Kobe did that, and he was washed by then. I don't think it's going to be quite that rough for the Lakers this time, and LeBron obviously still doing very well. So nothing really for me to report here. It seems to be a solid decision. For LeBron, it's an obvious decision. I think that was a good call. So, Chris, your thoughts on LeBron's extension?
Yeah, no, you're right. We're in uncharted territories with a 39-year-old LeBron. still playing significant minutes, and this is not, we've never seen anyone like this. So, but yeah, it just made too much sense not to happen. And so I don't think I ever thought he would leave LA this year, but I think he's always jockeying for that next big contract, but it just made too much sense. Like his kid is in that area, that they kind of he lives there. He relocated there. People were like, oh well, Cleveland could move pieces around. And I'm like, he's not going back to Cleveland. Just don't see that. So yeah, it's a good signing, and the Lakers, I don't know how many more years he can do it, what he's doing at this level, but it's still fun to watch, and all-time leading scorer in the NBA. I think he's all-time in minutes. It's like he's on another plane. And just Celtics related news, they've pretty much brought back everybody who was a free agent. So Derek White re-signed, Drew Holiday re-signed, I think it was a couple months ago. The bigs, Cornette and Tillman and Keita are all re-signed too, which is important because Porzingis is going to be out for a few months and will probably miss a couple months of the season. So they need that, backup center depth, because Al Horford also very old. So those guys are going to log significant minutes in November and December, and hopefully KP will be back shortly thereafter. And I'm just trying to think of any others. Who else is out there? I think last time we did cover the Knicks and Nets trade, if I'm not mistaken. Getting Mikal Bridges from the Nets for 5 draft picks, and but that was a big move. I believe we covered that last time. Do you remember? Do you recall? I can't remember.
We might have. I think that's pretty much the gist of it, though. I don't feel like we need to get into that any further. Like, that's pretty much on point.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to think who's unsigned that's still. The big names, Kyle Lowry, who's 38 years old at this point. It's pretty slim pickings at this stage. I guess technically James Harden is technically unsigned, even though there are reports he agreed to deal with the Clips. And I'm just looking at the list on NBA.com, and I'm not seeing anybody that's really jumping out on me as like a big big potential deal. So it was always kind of, Daniel Tice signed today. Sorry. Can't even remember who it was with, but anyway, it was kind of it's kind of slim pickings on the free agent market. So yeah, everything happened pretty quickly. Dario Saric signed with Denver. That was a nice pickup for Denver, I think. Just give him like backup center, forward depth, guy who can kind of shoot a little bit. So, yeah. So no huge surprises, I would say. The Paul George thing was the one I think that everyone was waiting for, and there's no one holding out at this point that we're kind of waiting for. So.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much I think that we covered all the big things for real, and not too bad at all. I think, there's nothing for me to add. So let's get to the draft. I don't really have anything to say. I just honestly don't know. I really don't know very many people on the draft board. There is a lot of international talent this year. This is definitely not on the same level as the Wembanyama year of the draft. So it'll be interesting. Now, I know the Hawks got the first pick in the draft, which is huge for the people in your current place of residence, Chris. And it sounded like they were pumped. And you went to a draft party to see the draft coverage. Tell us a little bit. I
was at State Farm Arena. I don't know why, but it was. The only reason I went was because they had the first pick, and I just kind of wanted to be there with the fans and see what their response was, and it was about what you expect. I mean, nobody booed the pick. Everyone's just kind of really positive and kind of jazzed. I know very, very, very little about Zachary Reese-Shea, other than he's long, probably needs to bulk up a little bit, and is not considered a very good shooter.
Oh boy,
which is rough when you take him first overall. But it's kind of what this draft was. I mean, there were no like real complete players. Interesting. I think Reed Sheppard was the first American player taken at 3. Also, the first time an American player was taken that was white with the. So it was the first time the first American player taken was white since like Kent Benson or something crazy like that.
What year was this?
Nuts, like 1976.
Dude, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but the Reese-Shea thing and Sarr, I mean, there were Hawks fans who wanted him.
Yeah.
He's apparently like like a defensive stopper, but again, not really clear on how much offense he's going to provide. The problem, Dave, is these guys are also 19 years old. They're so young, and hopefully they'll grow. And it's kind of in a way, and I think I might have brought this up last time, it's kind of fun to watch a draft where in 5 years you'll look back at the redraft and kind of have fun with it. And this is one of those cases where there might be a guy in the teens who's like clearly the best player in the draft 5 years from now, and it'll be like when Giannis went, what was it, 17th or whatever in that one draft with I think that was a Bennett draft, right? That Giannis got picked in the teens, and I could see something similar happening here, just because there's so many unknowns. So. Yes, it was fun. I watched the whole thing. I didn't watch the second round because it was on during work hours, but first round was fun. It was interesting seeing who went where, and I was kind of the names I did recognize, like, and I have seen play. So like Klingon, the guys from UConn Castle, and Sheppard and Dillingham, all those guys. It'll be fun to watch them grow, but. Kind of a weird draft, though. Yeah. And sandwiched between what people think are going to be, last year's draft with Wembanyama and next year's draft with Cooper Flagg, who's the hotshot prospect from Maine, who's attending Duke in the fall. Those two are, people think will become like legendary drafts, and this one is not that. So
yeah,
but it was fun. I enjoyed watching it. Bronny went in the second round. I'm trying to think of some of the other notable picks. Zach Edey went higher. I got the the Memphis Utah
much higher
summer league game. Yeah, after the summer league game, he just checked into this game.
Okay,
but I haven't had a chance to watch it. But yes, so he went 13 or 9, right?
9.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt. You were about to.
No. It's fine. Like I was just gonna set that up myself. Like, Edey was talked about a lot in the NCAA tournament this year, as well one would expect, because Purdue went really, really far. Like they went all the way to the title game, in which they were eventually defeated by UConn, I believe, as I have that right. Like. It's really strange that my medium term memories with sports has gotten pretty bad. Like, I can remember stuff from like 30 years ago, and I can remember stuff from like this week, but everything in between, it can be tough, and sometimes I forget things like this. So I think I have that right. I do know that UConn won the championship. They won easily. They won easily.
Yeah, UConn beat Purdue. It's okay, Dave. I forgot Mike Breen about 5 minutes ago. So you're good. You're
okay,
totally
very good. But anyway, people were really pushing for Edey to get into the NBA draft, and he's a senior. He was a senior. He was a senior, and obviously he was huge for Purdue in many different ways. First of all, literally, he was a giant of a man, but the thing about it is he's just not that athletic, and I don't really see the vision, and I don't I just don't see this working out in the pros, and most people who follow the NBA felt the same way. So I think the tournament gave him quite a bit of a pop. I was expecting maybe low first round, high second round, maybe lower. So this is a big surprise to me that he's drafted 9th overall. I do wonder if the Grizzlies are going to regret this decision down the road. Because I don't. Go ahead, Chris. I do definitely want to hear your thoughts on this, because basically I was just going to say, I don't see his athleticism really matching up with everybody else, despite the height. I never saw him really being that creative. His footwork really wasn't that great. I mean, what's going to happen when you got people that can move faster than you and you're in the league? I don't know. I don't see the potential here. What's your thought on Edey?
So the one thing I heard, I did not watch the combine at all, but like his measurables apparently were better than expected.
Okay.
I don't, I feel like he's a good fit in Memphis because they needed a center, and he's very physical and he's very big, and I think he'll work out. I think he'll be like a serviceable player. I mean, I feel, like Steven Adams was their center last couple of years, and he's gone now. So, so this guy could kind of step in and, provide some of the same skills that, that they're missing there. I think you're right. I mean, his footwork is okay. It's just, he's really limited. He's just kind of a post player right now. And mostly just kind of like a hook shot. That's his main. Yeah. I mean, which is fine, but he seems like he could benefit from even just working on his post game a little bit, but just to kind of improve on his bag of tricks down there, I think, let's say. But I don't know. I mean, I kind of doubted him every step of the way, and he's actually better than I thought. So we'll see. I don't know. Will they regret it? I don't. I mean, they have a lot of talent. Memphis is loaded right now. And again, it's probably a good risk in this particular draft. So we'll see.
Yeah,
he's going to be on the Olympic team for Canada this summer. So
nice. Okay. I mean, again, it's kind of that would be an interesting spot too, because I think, obviously Canada's going to love having him there. So we'll see what he does over there in the Olympics. We'll see. Like, I don't have an opinion on that per se, but yeah. I'm happy. I mean, congratulations to Zach Edey. He's a good kid. Like, I'm really happy for him making the team. That's cool. So, I can't really comment on his work ethic and things like that because I just don't know. But it seems like he would probably try to commit. He would at least certainly try to do better at his post game. We'll see if what it amounts to in the pros. I just have my doubts, and so do you, and so do most people who follow the sport. So it will be interesting to see if we can be proven wrong this time around. I don't know. History would not be on his side though, because like you said, not being agile and not being able to shoot the three in today's NBA, I mean, you're really limiting yourself if you can't shoot the outside shot as a center. A lot of centers can shoot outside shots nowadays. So I don't know. That doesn't sound good, but we shall see if maybe he might just add something to his repertoire.
Yeah, I mean, I could even see him. I mean, I think he'll probably have a lengthy career as a backup, probably more than likely, but maybe he does better.
I mean, if he did, that would be pretty good. So, I mean, yeah. I think if he did back up teams throughout his career from this, like 10 years, honestly don't think that's too terrible. Like,
Dave, this picture on your screen right now, this cannot go unnoticed. There's no way. It's the elephant in the room right now. Am I wrong? I mean, I can't look at that and not comment on what I'm seeing.
So this thing on the right.
Yeah.
Add this.
I don't know what to do with that.
I don't. Is that supposed to be a woman? I
don't know.
I don't even know if I want to explain it to the podcast audience. Like,
sorry, podcast audience.
let me just say, it says the caption says cardiologist. Add this to your coffee to turn on fat burning mode. And so they have an illustration, like a drawing of a before and an after, and they're very extreme depths. Like they just changed it. I think
they heard us. They heard us.
YouTube, yeah, they're definitely okay. They heard us for sure. They didn't. They were like, okay, we're getting picked on. That's enough. We need to switch. We need to switch to ad. But anyway, that ad was creepy. Like, there's no getting around it. So, well, maybe if we add things to our coffee, we can lose weight too. So, food for thought. All right. So that's and then that's pretty much all I have. I don't have much to add to that at all. I'm just thinking, is there anybody here that I remember from the tournament that could make an impact on this draft? From this draft, and can't really think of anyone in particular. But Connect actually got drafted in 17.
Yeah, that's an interesting pick. Yeah. What did you think about that? Because we saw a lot of him in the tournament.
Yeah, I think he's got some juice. I think he could be good. I mean, if he can stay healthy, I think he'd be pretty solid. Yeah, and Connect was kind of the guy for Tennessee.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah,
actually,
that's not too bad actually for the Lakers. Like, it's not bad. We'll see. I mean, they just got to give him some shots, I think, and he might be all right. Yeah, I actually liked him. Not bad.
Yeah, like a nice little understudy. LeBron said he said after Bronny, Connect was his favorite player in college last year. So
yeah, I mean, he was definitely a solid player in college. Yeah. So I think it's pretty good value for someone drafting him at 17th. The Lakers were fortunate to have that position, so that worked out. That could work out. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I also I'm watching Utah. Jalen Williams of Oklahoma City, his brother got drafted out of Colorado. And you saw Colorado play this year, right?
If
I'm not mistaken. Buffalo's game. And he was I think he was the leading scorer on that team. I might be wrong. But yeah, he got drafted by Utah, and I'm watching the game right now, and actually Jalen Williams is in attendance, and they look very, very, very similar. But I thought that was an interesting pick. Utah also took Kyle Filipowski out of Duke, who I know you're familiar with, who the buzz on him was that this is an interesting little piece of gossip. Did you follow this, Dave, with his girlfriend and all that?
I'm not caught up on all the basketball drama.
You don't keep up with the Filipowskis?
No, I don't keep up with the Filipowskis. Okay.
So here's the deal: Kyle Filipowski's girlfriend is quite a bit older than he is, to the point where she was like babysitting him when he was like 14 or 15 years old.
Oh wow!
And started dating him at some point around then. She belongs to the Church of Latter-day Saints, the Mormons.
Wait, hold on. Time out. Okay. So you're about to tell me
this is a wild story, dude.
A white player from Duke,
yes,
who has either he's Mormon or he's dating someone that's Mormon, was drafted by the Utah Jazz. Are you kidding me? Like, is this
by Danny Ainge?
I can't. That's a good point. I mean, that just changed. Who would have ever saw that?
Well, he was one of those guys who slipped, right? He was one of those, and people were kind of like wondering what the heck's going on. And the story was making the rounds behind the scenes, and apparently teams backed off because of this relationship with his girlfriend, which is weird. But then there were all these other ancillary stories where it's like he has no contact with his brother and his mom and anybody in his immediate family. He's completely cut off from his life. And so, it was a weird, very strange story. That was interesting. But Danny Ainge had no reservations taking him. I think it was pick 32. Look at that. He was a second round pick. A lot of mock drafts had him going in the lottery. So, and he was a good college player, you know.
Oh, yeah, definitely was a good college player. I mean, I think as Duke players through the years, I mean, probably not a terrible call at all. I mean, he's one of their best players this year. So, yeah, I think it's a pretty solid pick. I mean, from a basketball point of view, it's a pretty solid pick. I can't speak to the personal stuff. That's just strange. But it's not really my place to comment on that. Like, I do hope that.
I just think it's so odd that it's worth mentioning. There's like an.
It's very odd. Gap. Yeah, no doubt.
Like he basically is dating his old babysitter, which is kind of.
I mean, more power to them. I mean, if they've got a connection, they got a connection. But I don't understand is like what? How does that? Does it have a relation? Is there a connection between that and his estrangement from much of his family? Is that related, or is it just they just happen that, or is that just a coincidence? It's interesting.
Oh no, I think it's related. I think that's the that's the unwritten part is that.
Oh yeah.
He started dating her, and it was just like he cut everybody off. So I don't know.
Weird.
See.
It happens.
But, he's talented though. He can shoot. Yeah. He's a big guy. He's got good range. I don't know. I think Utah got a pretty good player. It'll be interesting. Utah actually. That brings up a good point. Utah is a team to watch because there's been a lot of buzz about Lauri Markkanen getting moved. So,
that guy still. It's hard to imagine him. He gets hurt all the time. Like when he's healthy, he's amazing. Lauri Markkanen is a really, really good player, but he can't stay on the court. So you're right. That could. There is just the amount of what's the word? The ceiling for the Jazz could be really good as a result of that. If he is healthy the entire year, that becomes a very good team. So yeah, there's definitely something to that, Chris.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I suspect there's been a lot of smoke about these trade rumors with him. Gosh, he only played 55 games last year.
Yeah, exactly.
His career high in games played was his rookie year. He played 68 games. Mm-hmm. With the Bulls. Yeah. So you're right. I mean, he's had real trouble staying on the court. But good player though, like an interesting player because he's like a legit 7-footer who can shoot from deep and but
yeah.
I don't know. Danny Ainge is probably constantly working the phones. I feel like, and that's just been my perspective watching him as a Celtics fan is that he loves talking trades. So it wouldn't shock me if he is actually on the move.
I mean, I'm kind of looking. Wait, I'm not doing this right. Let me go back. Hold on a second. I am a little off here. I'm trying to get the summer league schedule on here, and I'm struggling to actually do that. It's just giving me all this. Oh, there we go. I got it. Okay. So now let's go segue over to summer league, which is something, which is a new tradition in the NBA, and it's really starting to grow momentum every year, and it's a pretty solid event through and through. A chance for people to watch the young rising stars of the league, and it takes place in 2 cities throughout the summer. Las Vegas is the most notable of the 2. It's where most of the action takes place. But there are also games played in Salt Lake City. So we've got games in both places happening this week. And there's a lot of things happening. China's playing. Wow, that's a topic. We had
they played the Hornets, right? Wasn't that 2 nights ago they played
Yeah, I believe so. I'll go look at that. They played San Antonio as well. And they're going to be playing.
I think it was last night.
They played the Spurs.
No, it was the Hornets played Sacramento. It was the Spurs. You're right. It was the Spurs.
And they'll play them again on Tuesday, which is tomorrow.
But they're playing games also in California somewhere too, right? I don't know exactly where it is because the Lakers played. That was the game Bronny played in, and
right.
I think it's in LA, Dave. I'm not positive about that, but.
Give me a second to look into that. Let me see what we have over here. Utah. Check out tomorrow. There's a California Classic. It's in Sacramento.
California.
Okay.
Oh, it's in Sacramento. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So that's right. I think they did that last year too. They had some games in Sacramento. So they're based. So this is like the early stages of the summer league, and I believe later Vegas will get in the mix. It's not there. So you see, you'll notice Vegas hasn't started games yet, and I think the next week is when they'll shift things to Las Vegas. I think they run concurrent with the rest of the schedule too, but
Vegas starts next week.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. Like I'm. You had the chance to go to the summer league last year, which I was very jealous about. Like that just sounded.
No, really... I didn't go. I haven't been. I've never.
Oh, you haven't been. When did you go? No. Was it for the in-league tournament?
I went to the in-season tournament.
Oh, okay,
in LA.
Okay.
In Vegas, rather. Yeah, I went to the. I've not been to summer league, and I'm dying to go, and I'm thinking about it this year, but I'm not sure if I can swing it right now. I gotta figure it out.
Okay.
But I'd love to go. And like this year would be fun because there's so many unknowns, and just because like last year I heard was madness because when Banyama was there, but there's not going to be like other than like maybe Bronny, there's not going to be like that one guy who everybody's clamoring to see. I don't think.
Yeah,
that's my read. So
I think we're in good hands if we can avoid the Lakers games on the schedule because that's gonna be crazy. But everything else seems.
You think it'll be nuts? Yeah, I kind of do too.
Yeah,
but Connect would be fun to watch. It would be it would be cool to see him. And yeah.
I mean, for me, I think if you can get a ticket for under $60, I think it would be worth it to see the Laker game at Summer League, wherever it is. The California Classic is fine. Like that'd be kind of cool. I need to take some days off, I think, to do this. But for example, Friday the 12th. Houston at LA. I mean, there's some juice with that. I mean, that'd be kind of neat to go up to Sacramento to watch that. I mean, pretty cool. It wouldn't be too much effort at all. And what is this? Are these the Clippers? Oh, the Clippers chance
have a new logo.
This was mentioned. Interesting. I kind of like it.
Totally rebranded.
Let me go back over here.
Go along with their new arena, which you're gonna have to tell me about once you actually go.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm dying to hear about this.
It looks really nice. Like from what I've seen so far. I thought I switched over here. Okay. Oh, I do. This is not bad. I don't think there's I need a bigger version of the logo, but I kind of like it. I mean, it's kind of hard to read when it's small. That's the only thing about logos. Like, if the logo is too detailed, I'll show you what I mean. Like, if you see, you got the yacht. Clippers are supposed to be sailboats, but they decide we're gonna go with the yacht. Okay, that's fine. You do you. But it's a cool logo though. I think it's the only thing about it is like I do think that's gonna be hard to read from a distance. And I always feel like with logos, you need to have something that you can view from a distance. So it can be small, it can be big, you can scale it, and so it can be identifiably your logo. I guess NBA logos don't really have. There aren't too many that are that good, because baseball logos are much better at that. Like you have the NY for Yankees or Mets, right? You have the LA for Dodgers. You have the B for Boston. You got the A for Atlanta. Like there's so many good ones where you can use that. You have the Milwaukee Brewers with like the MB with the glove and the ball. Like it's.
Oh man, I love that one.
Isn't that a great logo? Like it's so great. Yeah. So NBA logos aren't quite that great at being, scalable. But
yeah.
With that being said, this is cool as long as you can zoom in on it. Like this, I love this Clipper logo more than the last one. The last one was trash. Like I didn't like it very much at all. But
yeah, they I saw the uniform somewhere, and you're totally right that logos. I went to design school, so I can speak to this a little bit, but logos definitely, scaling is incredibly important. Less so for sports, but like that logo in particular, I think I saw it on the uniform. It was like kind of like they had it on the shorts. Like I don't think they had it actually like front and center on the chest of the uniform. So it is small. You're right, and and I agree. I think it looks better than the previous one, but I agree it might be too small. But I do like the fact that they're going back to the roots of the meaning of Clippers, and at least it's sort of nautical now. But we need to talk about the Clippers, man. They Paul George is gone, and Harden is apparently coming back, and they're going to a new arena, and I don't know how good they're going to be. Actually, I kind of feel like they're going to take a giant step back. And the West is so talented that, they might be looking at like one of those lower seeds in the West.
Yeah. Oh wow, this is so interesting. I finally found a jersey. I actually found the logo and the jerseys here. Take a look at this. This is interesting.
Oh, I love that script font. That's nice.
It's a bit of a throwback, actually.
I love it. Yeah, it's so nice. I forgot how much I like that.
It's pretty good. I like it too. It's there, and the numbers remind me of the San Diego era of the Clippers. They used to have numbers like that. Wow, this is pretty good. I mean, James Harden on there might be deprecated in a few weeks, but.
Holy crap! They have Paul George there wearing number 13. Get it together, Clippers.
Yeah, this is a little. I don't know. Yeah, this. I don't know what they were thinking.
You got to change that graphic.
Oh man, this entire photo is going to be deprecated in a month.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, that's a good point. I was like, oh, what are they doing with Harden over here? He might not be there next year.
I know. I'm like,
and then you have Paul George.
No,
oh, boy.
I'm confident they're keeping Harden. It seems like that's a done deal. But
okay,
it is weird that they still have this photo with PG-13 in there.
Yeah, well, this photo was from February. So for what it's worth, this article is from February. So the season they were in were still underway at that point. It's strange that they would do this in the middle of the season too, but okay, but so maybe that's why this happened. But
yeah, it's just a graphic. You gotta swap that out, put Terrence Mann in there or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. It's strange, but yeah, I mean, I think these uniforms are great. Like I hope they wear the white ones at home more. This is something I've been having problems with Silver and the league and Nike. Like, they do not let the home teams wear their home uniforms anymore. Like, it's like, why can't you wear the home uniforms at home? Like, it's been too much, this third jersey stuff. Like, it's just kind of gotten out of hand. Like, you know why I say that, Chris? Because, like, I wanted the Celtics to, I don't like the Celtics in general, but I appreciate them. I respect their franchise highly. I think they're a very good team, very respectable. The people on the team are great. And when you have them in the final...
the fans. You can't stand the fans. I get it, Dave.
Yeah, and they're giving me good reasons not to stand them, but people like Andy and yourself make it, obviously, are big exceptions to the rule. Like, you guys have been great. But still, with all that said... and do we have to... They just cut back to Donnie Wahlberg. Did you know that? Like,
Again.
Yeah,
we got to see him.
Yeah, breaking news. But... I felt wrong to go have a Celtic game at home with all that history and that parquet court, and they're wearing green uniforms. Like, it just doesn't feel right. Like, it's just,
you gotta wear home whites.
Like,
and I'll say the black ones bother me even more. I think they wore the black ones in the clinching game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
the green, in my opinion, is just, at least it's traditional Celtics colors, but the black one with the green piping and the white, it doesn't really work for me. So, but I agree. I want home whites for home, and I want road teams to wear the darker color. I like that.
I just don't. There are certain teams you can do that with, like Oklahoma City. Wear whatever the hell color you want. Wear pink. Wear stuff. Wear yellow or aqua, like whatever color you want for them, fine. But Celtics and Lakers and even the Bulls and the Knicks to an extent, like, just let them wear their home uniforms at home.
Oh, the white ones and the white Lakers uniforms are dynamite. They really are. It just pops, man. It looks so good.
Well, when you say white, do you mean white, like like their Sunday whites, or do you mean like the regular the gold uniforms? Like, I guess they're both pretty good, like, to be fair, but
yeah, I mean the gold ones are good, but don't get me wrong. But the white one with the the gold and purple lettering, to me is so classic. I love that look.
Yeah, yeah. It's incredible stuff. Like, and you're right. It's very much the regal vibe that the Lakers have always been from the start, and I've loved it. And so now to the Lakers' credit, I think most of the time they do wear either the white or the gold jerseys at home, which is cool. Sometimes they wear like these weird purple with the pinstripes. That was terrible. Like, there's no defense for that. Do you remember that was like those purple pinstripe ones?
I do not remember.
That was rough.
Purple pinstripes. Wait, the pinstripes were purple, or it was white pinstripes?
I think it was purple with black pinstripes or something like that.
Oh,
it was rough. It was terrible. Like, it was, yeah.
In general, I'm not a fan of pinstripes on basketball uniforms. I just, I think about the Magic when they had those. I did not like those. I'm just not a fan. It feels like more like a baseball thing to me in general. And you don't see pinstripes. Has there been a football team that wears pinstripes? I can't think of one.
I can't think. I think there has, but I don't have anything on my register that I can think of. But I'm pretty sure
like baseball, it's like kind of a tradition. I mean, it's obviously the Yankees, but there are other teams like the Cubs that wear it, and the Mets have worn it at times.
Yeah, the funny thing with pinstripes is that teams will go in and out of them, and teams that you don't expect to have pinstripes suddenly will have them. I remember doing a study one time calculating the number of franchises that at one point in time had pinstripes in their uniforms. It was quite a bit, and actually, you can now add the Padres to that list because now they have pinstripes in their uniforms. So that's kind of interesting. I actually like the look too. It's a pretty good look.
The thing about pinstripes, Dave, very slimming.
How many pinstripes did CC Sabathia have?
Oh God, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I have to admit that was a pretty dumb question. Like, Mike was right about that one. Like, of all the things you could be asking about, like, that's kind of a dumb question. Like,
go help an old lady across the street or read a book, right? That's.
But yeah,
that's where that comes in.
Oh yeah.
You all right? You finding it cold, Dave?
No. I'm fine. Just a little frog in the throat. I'm good to go. But yeah, I mean, Clippers uniforms for this season are going to be really nice. The arena does look like it's going to be really nice too. 1 second, hold. I have to clear the throat. But
so you're gonna try to make it there in the inaugural season, right?
I hope so. It just depends on what the ticket prices are. I mean, we know the ticket prices will be so much more than they used to be at Staples or Crypto. Yeah. And that's fine. Like, we know that. Like, it's the same thing happened with SoFi. Like, that first year or two, the ticket prices are gonna be outrageous. But I'll try to make it in there. Like, it'll be pretty cool. It looks like a really nice arena. Like, just from seeing the shell of it being constructed. In some ways. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, in terms of distance, the whatever Crypto, Staples, are they about equidistant from where you are? Because you're right by the beach, right? You're near the ocean.
Yeah, that's a great question. In terms of distance, they are equidistant, but I was just about to make the point that it'll be surprisingly easier to get to that stadium compared to Crypto. I mean, you could take the light rail too, but I mean, just if you're just talking about the car, I think that'll be a much more enjoyable commute for me. Even though the 405 is what it is, it's not great, but you're not traveling on that much of it. Like, you're only going to be going, a few miles on there. And you could even get off in Culver City if you really needed to. But for whatever reason, I feel like that would be, as long as you leave early enough. But this is true downtown too. Like, it wouldn't be like downtown driving is any easier than driving down the 405 at 5 o'clock in the evening. It's about the same. Traffic is terrible on both those roads. Like 10 East and 405 South. They're both about the same. So arguably it's an easier drive for me because you're gonna go. You have your parking like right there, and you don't have as much. I mean, not to say that Inglewood's necessarily. I mean, Inglewood it's not a great area, and downtown is not a great area. But I think the freeway access is a little bit less confusing because with the downtown, like, there's so many ways you can get lost there, going there. It's hard to explain that, but it's about the same. I think it's about the same. I find it easier because I'm driving down that road a lot more anyway, because I'm on the west side anyway, so I'm just kind of just going down there. And yeah, I mean, it would take me like 30 minutes to get from if traffic was average, like, and if it's not completely horrible, it would take me about 30 minutes for me to get from where I am to like the airport, you know? And that's exactly...
That's right near the airport, right?
It's right near the airport. So,
yeah.
So actually, I think it'll be an easier commute for me. Because, like, the only time you can get a 30-minute drive from where I am to downtown would be if it's a weekend, if it's a Sunday, or if it's early in the day.
2 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah. Yeah, that too. Yeah. And then that's when you can get that easy of a drive. But for some reason, I just feel like... Now, this might change because maybe now that everybody's going to the games, maybe that'll be different. But at least from what I remember, I think it'll be easier. It'll be less of a commute to go to Inglewood for anything. Because it still might take 45 minutes because, you know, you're just going to have so many people going to the games and getting around, parking, whatever. But I do think that'll be, yeah, it's supposedly the same amount of distance, but I just feel like it's an easier drive from where I am. So it's a net positive for me. Yeah. And getting home will be even easier because, like, that's just going up 405 and then taking 10 back. So, like, that's no big thing. Like, I could totally do that.
Well, I look forward to the full report next fall or whenever you happen to go.
I'm looking forward to it too. I will gladly give everybody a report. It'll be pretty cool. It's a smaller arena for sure. One thing to note. So that's kind of neat. And I think the Clippers have kind of needed that. They need something that's not so overwhelming. And I think they're going to get some decent attendance, believe it or not. Like, I think they'll be all right. But like you said, their team's not going to be that good next year. They'll take a hit from last year. And I think, I don't know, what do you think? Maybe flirting with 500, less, more? Where would you see them?
Oh no, I don't think they're going to be bad. I mean, but I just don't think. Well, they were the 4th seed, I think, this year, but lose Paul George. You know, I almost, well, you know, here's the interesting thing was, like, they didn't have a full season of Harden either. So I mean, I don't think they're going to be bad. I think they're going to be a yeah, they'll definitely be over 500, I think. Assuming everyone stays healthy, Kawhi, they can get some games out of him. Actually, that's a big X factor because you never know with him. But I mean, the top 4 teams in the West, I mean, I got to say Oklahoma City. Still think Denver. I still think Dallas is going to be really good. I don't know. I mean, are the Clippers the 4th best team? I don't know. I could see them dropping a little bit in the standings, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it was hard to really judge that even in the middle of last season. We didn't know who the top 4 teams were going to be, and then we saw who they were, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, and don't forget Memphis. Ja's going to be back. Memphis is going to be very good too. Houston could take a big leap. I mean, man, I mean, we don't even know what the Spurs are. I mean, the Spurs could be really good next year, you know?
I mean, I wouldn't rule any of that out. It's hard to tell when the teams are so young, you know? Like, it's anyone's guess at this point. It could be quite an interesting time. So, I'm not really here to make big proclamations at any of these teams. Oklahoma City too. Like, that was an interesting playoffs for them because it wound up not being as good as we thought they would be in the playoffs, but I think with some, you know, if they could get like an alpha to kind of join that group, they could end up being.
Oh, I think they're going to be really, really good. I'm kind of interested to see.
I think you're right. I think they will be really good in the regular season for sure. Like, you know,
I mean, SGA is the alpha on that team.
Oh, that's true.
Sure.
Yeah. No, you know what I mean. Yeah,
they pulled off that.
I think they got the alpha
they
already.
traded Giddey and they got Caruso. I love what they've done in this offseason, and I still think they're going to be. I mean, they were the 1 seed. I still think they're going to be the 1 seed. That would be my prediction at this point.
No, that's true.
I'm watching Kyle Filipowski. He's in this game.
Oh, is he checked in? Okay.
Yeah.
Is this a 45-year-old girlfriend cheering him on?
Oh, I don't know. No, she's only like, I mean, she's not 45. She might be like 28 or something like that.
Oh, okay. She's not that old. Okay. That's fine.
But there's like, there's like a 6-year age difference, or maybe even more, 7 or 8 year age difference.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Oh well, I don't know. I'm being very judgy right now. I just thought it's an interesting story, though.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, no, bad job out of me. Yeah, I mean, SGA is a top 5 player. Like he's great. Like, so I think that's a team that can definitely get better, because that's a lot of those folks are coming back too. So I think that's definitely a good setup for them. We'll see. All right. Well, this is really good. Like we covered like all this stuff in like less than 90 minutes. That's pretty good. You did a good job.
Yeah. We covered a lot of ground. We did a little bit of draft. We did free agency. We talked about the Clippers, the new uniform. We did some logos. We did the new arena. So
yeah,
we got into some college a little bit. It was fun.
It was for sure, and I think the Clippers arena will be the first new arena for a while. I don't know of any particular teams that have any specific interest in changing their arena. There are some people with some pretty old ones now, like Cleveland is one, actually. And
that's an old arena, really? Wasn't it like...
It's been around for like about 30 years now, actually. Like, when did they open Gund Arena? Like, they opened it like 95, 96?
Yeah.
Like...
And what is it called now? It's like some kind of like insurance company or something.
Yeah, that I don't want to speak out of turn. I don't remember. I think it's Rocket Mortgage Arena, but I'm not sure.
Rocket Mortgage, I think you're right. Yeah, Rocket Mortgage.
So Quicken has had like ownership of that building for quite a while. So Rocket Mortgage is their product. So it's actually pretty cool. So, yeah, and I think Minnesota just redid Target Center. I think that's what they did. They refurbished it. Phoenix refurbished their arena, whatever it's called now. Orlando isn't a new.
After we went, that was after we went. They gave it a facelift.
I thought they did. I thought they did. After we went. Oh, did you end up going to a Wolves game?
Wolves?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
What?
No, I've never been in Minnesota.
Oh, okay, never mind.
What do you mean?
Well, no, because you were saying that after we went, but I was like, did you guys go to the game? I didn't understand. Like Minnesota Targets.
Oh no, we went to the Suns Milwaukee.
Oh, you're talking about the Phoenix Arena. Yeah. And this was after we went. Yeah, this is after we went.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Target Center is the center for the Wolves. I'm trying to remember if they updated it or not. I thought they did. Now I can't.
Did you say? Oh, you were saying the Wolves Arena was getting updated, not, or the Suns did update?
I think the Suns did theirs already. Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's a big topic. Like 2 years ago, they're like, "Oh man, we're Phoenix. This is going to be the arena for the next the next 25 years or whatever." And it's just so I think whatever that was going to be, they did it. And I'm pretty sure. I'm going to double check this because I went to their website and they really talked this up. They were really talking about. Yeah. Yes. Okay, so it looks like they did it around 2020-ish, 2021, but I'm curious as to what the impact of the pandemic was on that. Okay, yeah, they completed the renovations just in front of the 2021 NBA Finals run against the Milwaukee Bucks. So they did do it again, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we went there. I think it was like
2019.
Yeah,
it was 2019.
March 2019, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all. That timeline's all lining up because that's about the time I remember reading about this huge plan. They were really like doing it up. They were really redoing this arena, and so they've done it. And so So that's kind of extended the life of that arena. So the whole point of this is to say, I don't know when the next new arena is going to happen. It's probably going to be like a smaller team like Charlotte or Memphis or somebody like that. That's got an arena that's been around a while, but isn't that well known. And technically speaking, there are some arenas that are going to be like 20, 30 years old anyway. Like the one that the Heat play in, which I don't even know what it's called now.
It was like one of the crypto companies, but they had to change it because that company, I think they got charged with fraud or something like that. It was like, well, crypto.com was the Lakers, but there was another crypto company that had the Heat's name, and they had the naming rights to the Heat's arena, and I can't remember what it was.
Oh boy.
Probably in the last year or so.
Yeah.
But you know, like TD Bank Garden, I still think is a new arena, but it's not. It was built in the 90s. Like most of these are like at least that old. I also wonder, like, with expansion, like, Vegas has its T-Mobile Arena. I think I hate all these corporate names. I really do. I wish it was, not these naming rights are annoying, but Vegas, is rumored to be an expansion team, so I assume they'll probably just play in that arena where the hockey team plays. But Seattle is the other team. I don't know. I mean, is that the arena where the Kraken play? Is that multi-purpose? I have no idea.
It does not. Built it. It seems too small though. It's okay. It's the same arena. It's the old Key Arena. They just redid it.
Is that right?
Yeah. They just gutted it out and completely rebuilt it from the inside.
Well, that's good.
And it becomes Climate Pledge Arena. Yeah. Huh. But I looked out. Yeah, isn't that interesting? Like, so I went when I went to Seattle for the first time a couple years ago. We were by the Space Needle, and that's by the arena. And so I looked at the outside of the arena, and it had the shell of the old Key Arena. It's the same place. It's so interesting.
That'd be cool if they had like the Sonics come back and they played there again.
That'd be wild. I'm like, then why did we even move to OKC then at that point? It's like, well, the owners
wanted to.
Exactly. It's just so. I really, that. I have a tough time with that franchise for that exact reason. The owners are terrible. Yeah. Like just. They had they could have done all the stuff they did in Seattle, and it probably would have made more money, to be honest with you. Like, it continues to bother me. Like, why would you willingly relocate to an unprofitable market? Like, that's just a dumb thing to do. But
and they just left the fans high and dry, with that whole situation.
Yeah, yeah.
It's such a bummer.
Yeah, I mean, you could certainly make the point that OKC fans are really good fans and they've supported the team to a degree, but I don't know. It's strange you would want to do that. Like, it's one thing if you want to move to a good, like a bigger TV market or more lucrative area in general. Is Oklahoma really that? I mean, I don't want to sound ignorant here. You probably would know more than I would, but it doesn't seem.
I've been to Oklahoma City. It's been a long time. I don't remember too much about it. It's changed quite a bit since I've been there. So
yeah,
but I always thought like Seattle and the Supersonics were, it more than the Mariners and more than the Seahawks. That was kind of their team, and believe it or not, and
I believe that
it was a big bummer.
They really loved the Sonics. They were huge in Seattle. Like,
oh yeah, I told this story, Dave. Like, the first time I went to Seattle was 1996, and I wanted to get I love the Seahawks logo, and I just wanted to get a T-shirt with the Seahawks logo. I went to like 5 sporting goods stores before I could find like just a basic blue Seahawk, but Sonic stuff was everywhere. It was like everywhere.
Wow.
And, I mean, I know that this is not scientific, it's totally anecdotal, but it was kind of eye-opening to me. I couldn't believe how popular the Sonics seemed to be. So.
Yeah, they really had a real love affair with the fans. And they had some good teams too, but we won't talk about that. But I mean, we both remember how good they used to be. Like they're fun. Like it was an interesting time.
If when they do get another team, I hope that they can get the name Sonics back, because it's just I hope that somehow there's I have no idea how these things work, but that the naming rights can go back to Seattle, because
I think that every other version of this has worked out that way. So Charlotte got the Hornets back, even though they're not the original Hornets.
Right.
And I do think that
like the Cleveland Browns,
they got
they got the name back after they moved to Baltimore.
Yeah. I think that's one reason why owners like to change the name of the team when they move to a different city, so that people don't try to associate with them in the old city. They don't want that identity, so it's reasonable.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Here's a little pop quiz for you. Like, how many teams can you think of that have a name that originated in a different city? Like they've carried the name over to a new city.
Is this restricted only to basketball or
just NBA? Just NBA. Just NBA.
Just NBA.
Yeah.
Okay. So obviously the Lakers, the Jazz.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting one that a lot of people don't know is the Pistons originated in Fort Wayne,
You're
Indiana.
right. Yes.
And they used to be the Fort Wayne Pistons. That's something my dad told me. I don't think they played in Fort Wayne for very long, but they were the Fort Wayne Pistons. The Clippers were the San Diego Clippers. They moved, of course, from Buffalo. They used to be the Buffalo Braves, and then they became the Clippers when they moved to San Diego. The Rockets were also the San Diego Rockets,
yes,
if I'm not mistaken.
Good call. Yes.
And that's a nickname that totally works there.
Yeah.
Who else? I might have to look at the list because I don't have these on the top of my head. But I mean, the Nets moved states twice. I mean, I guess technically they count.
They do count, yeah.
Because the Hawks, it's St. Louis Hawks.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Actually, that's interesting. There's quite a few. The Wizards obviously are a new team. I mean, that's a new name.
Yeah, I think the Wizards are just excluded from that because they changed the name. Because I was very specifically asking about the team name. So.
Right. Yeah, not the Wizards. That might be it. Wait, scroll down a little bit.
Sure.
I think the rest of these are originated. I mentioned the Jazz. Pelicans are a new name.
Mm-hmm.
Thunder's a new name. Spurs were ABA team, as were the Nuggets. And they both came in with those names and stayed in the same markets. Mm-hmm. So I think that's it. The Pistons is the one that trips people up.
Oh, yeah. That's a really, really good pull with the Pistons. Really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you already mentioned the Clippers, right? Because that was like the easy one. That was the easy one. You missed the big one.
To me, are the easy one. Did I miss one?
You missed the big
Warriors.
one. The Warriors.
Philadelphia Warriors. Yeah. Philadelphia Warriors. So.
Philadelphia and San Francisco. So they were technically in San Francisco for a time. They're
very short time, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah. They weren't there for very long, and then they moved back.
Wait, did you mention another one? There's another one we may both have missed, but I think I was just reminded of it.
Another one we missed. Jazz. I mentioned the Jazz. I mentioned the Lakers. I mentioned the Rockets. I mentioned. I don't know. Scroll up again. I think I got them all, didn't I? Lakers.
It's on this board.
It's on this board at this moment.
You might have mentioned it, though. I'm not sure. I
mentioned the Rockets.
Okay.
The Trailblazers were always in Portland.
Yeah, they were always in Portland, yeah.
Pelicans, that's a new team. Jazz, I mentioned. Spurs were, like I said, the ABA teams were Spurs and Nuggets. They came in with the Nets and the Pacers.
I can give it to you. Do you remember the Vancouver Grizzlies?
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
How did I forget that?
It's right there, right? It's interesting.
Yeah, how did I forget that? Yes, you're right. Absolutely.
Well,
that's a strange name that didn't really. I mean,
it's interestingly more appropriate in Memphis than it is in Vancouver.
Why is that? Grizzlies, really?
Don't they have Bears don't they have Bears in Tennessee too?
They do. They not Grizzlies though.
That's
probably
fair.
have Black Bears.
Yeah.
I don't think they have Grizzlies in Memphis. I mean, it's like they might have Black Bears,
but yeah. But what's interesting, what's remarkable is that the Grizzlies have been in Memphis a lot longer than they've been in Vancouver. Like they were only in Vancouver from 1995 to 2000, maybe 2001, maybe 2002, and then 2002-03 was the first year in Memphis. So
yeah, and they had those Vancouver Grizzlies uniforms were so ugly.
Yeah, they were rough.
It was like that '90s like trend, and they had that. Yeah. I don't know. I think
teal was huge in much.
Oh my god, teal, and it was like it is just awful. It was everywhere.
Yeah.
But the new logo I love. The Grizzlies, that bear face on it. Colors are nice. I like it.
Yeah, it's a big improvement. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that was really good. Like you covered like just about everything. That was really nice.
Oh, I get into NBA like history, like just where the teams were, and there was a period where I went down a rabbit hole, like learning about the Buffalo Braves and stuff like that. But the teams that did change their names, there are tons of those. Like the Sixers used to be the Syracuse Nationals.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are a million of them. But that is a good question. That's a good trivia question. I like that.
And in the Wizards, like when they were the Washington Bullets, they would have been from a different city in the beginning too. They used to be in Baltimore.
Baltimore Bullets.
Yeah.
And then they played in Landover, Maryland for a few years. Even though they were called the Washington, they were still called the Washington Bullets.
Right.
They played in Landover. And then there were other things. Here's some other weird ones, right? So like the Hawks used to play a few home games a year in New Orleans. I don't know if you were aware of this. The Celtics used to play a few home games a year in Hartford, Connecticut.
I don't remember that. When was this?
This was like in the 80s. Yeah.
Why would they have done that?
Just to increase the to draw in new fans in different markets.
Well, I mean, I do remember a few of these. Like, I know the Clippers used to play at Anaheim for a few games because their arena was so terrible and very tiny. They're like, this is their opportunity to sell more tickets and like get more people to come. It was a very unusual time in Clipper history, and it's kind of like as strange as their arrangement has been, playing under the shadow of the Lakers at Crypto. I think they would still take that over what they were doing before that, which is the sports arena, and their 14 to 15,000 seats. Most of them were old and beat up. Even then, like it was already run down back then. Like so, and then they would split a few of the games at the Honda Center, then known as the Pond, and it's kind of an interesting spot because I've never seen what that arena would have looked like for basketball, but that was another team that did that sort of thing.
And the arena they played at in San Diego apparently is still there.
It is.
We were in San Diego last summer. I wanted to look for it, but apparently it's still around. I can't remember the name now.
I think now it's called the Yamava Arena, if I remember correctly, or something like that. And
that kind of rings a bell. And I think it's like a music venue. Maybe they have like maybe they have a team there. I don't know.
They do. It's the Ducks minor league team, the San Diego Gulls. Yeah.
Okay. And that's where they play. Interesting. Huh. Well, I'm glad they kind of kept that arena around then.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So just quick correction. It's the Pechanga Arena.
Yes.
At the wrong casino. I think they redid it. They had like done some serious upgrades because it looked like it was a pretty old place too. It's kind of like yeah. So
I mean, that was when were they in San Diego? That's been a long time.
Early 80s? Here's what's crazy about that. You just mentioned it. Like the arena's it's been around a long time. They actually built it for the Rockets, as you said. They played there for 4 years. It's funny that they didn't last that long. Like, I can't really speak to why. It's obviously been a long time, but then they had the Clippers there for not that much longer, 1978 to 1984. Yeah, that's kind of wild.
I wonder if it was an ABA arena one time, because the San Diego Conquistadors were the ABA franchise in that market. I wonder if
that would have filled in the time between, yeah, because so Rockets. I'm reading this on Wikipedia. The Rockets were there from 67 to 71. The Clippers were from 78 to 84. So that period in between,
gap there.
Yeah, that gap seems right about when the ABA existed. It's about that time.
I'll bet you that's where they played.
Yeah. And you could definitely have played both teams. Like they could have scheduled both teams, like two teams there if it came to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you did it this year, last few years with the Lakers and Clippers.
Yeah. So it's kind of wild. It's an incredibly historic place. I'm honestly just as surprised as you that it's still around, because everybody's so quick to take down sports arenas and stadia, but somehow this has survived all of that. And
it drives me crazy, Dave. That's one of my pet peeves. Is like, we got to get a new arena, and the fans get behind it, and then like they draw tax money and tax dollars for this, and it's never for the fans. I mean, let's be real.
Yeah.
You know, they want to put corporate boxes in there, but somehow they convince the fans that it's for them. It's not.
No, it rarely is.
And it's just such a waste. You know, you're talking about like tons of material that are just reduced to rubble.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's a joke. So I'm just not on board with, we need it. Like it happened here in Atlanta, recently. The Braves Stadium was fine. And they moved out to the suburbs. But fortunately, the Braves Stadium is still being used by Georgia State University. So
yeah, they did a pretty good job, like converting that to their purposes. And Georgia State, since that time, has been pretty competitive. Actually, they've been a pretty good team in the Sun Belt. So
I've heard it's great. I've not been, unfortunately, but I've heard it's a lot. I mean, I've been to it as a baseball stadium, but I haven't been on a Saturday to a football game. But I've heard it's a lot of fun, and there's like a pretty cool tailgating scene down there. So I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, I think one thing I'll just throw in just to wrap up this point. Like, we've been talking about how many of the NBA arenas don't really need to change, and we haven't even thought about like trying to redo them or relocate from them. And I think that speaks to how well a lot of them were designed. So like your arena, the TD Garden, and then we've got Crypto. And I go to Crypto, and it's it looks like it's it's not new, but it's still very, very nice. Like I still think they've done a pretty good job keeping it upkeeping most of it. And Honda Center looks fantastic. I know that we're talking hockey, but it's held up really well in 30 years. Like I
don't even know what that is. Is that where the Kings play? I have no idea.
Oh, Honda Center's the Ducks arena. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's in Anaheim?
In Anaheim, yeah. I'm really impressed with like how it's in such good. I guess there's something to be said for for arenas being in less densely populated areas. So I guess there was something like to that. But so anything in a huge city like LA, like it's gonna see wear and tear because there's so many people are gonna be there over time and time again for concerts, for everything. I mean, Crypto does not have an off season at all. Like there is always something there every single day. Like
wait, do the Kings play there?
Yes.
Wait, where do the Kings play?
Yeah,
okay.
The Kings play there.
That was a dumb question. Where's Honda? All right.
Well, no, the Kings play at Crypto. Yeah. In LA. Yeah. And the Lakers play there too, and the Clippers did play there, and now they don't. But I don't think the people at Crypto really care. Like they're like, fine, leave. We can book more concerts and make more money off of the Clippers.
Man, that must be the scheduling must have been a nightmare when you had three teams playing that one arena.
Well, they made it work. I mean, the day night doubleheaders were a big help. I think they could figure out ways to make it work because you could have two teams play on the same day, just split when they play. Like one plays daytime, other plays nighttime. So I think the people who run the arena are going to be pretty happy to be relieved of that extra responsibility. And the Clippers, the daunting task of moving all the retired jerseys and banners the Clippers have accumulated over the years. Oh, there weren't any. Okay, that's right.
Man, Dave, that's harsh.
I'm not even joking. You think that's a joke? That's not a joke. There literally was not even a single banner ever raised for a division championship. It's cold-blooded. I know.
One thing about arenas, I'll say, is Atlanta. It used to be called Phillips. It's now called State Farm Arena. And it was one of those arenas that was built in the 90s. It replaced the Omni.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe 5 years ago, they renovated the interior and really just kind of took down some walls and stuff. And it's so much nicer. And like, it's really, in my opinion, it's like a textbook way to kind of renovate an existing facility and just making it better. So it can be done. And the way they opened it up really, just a much more pleasant experience. So like I said, it can be done.
It can definitely be done. I mean, they took the world's most famous arena and turned it into a modern facility, which is quite an achievement because that place looked every bit the 45 years old that it was at the time. And they really did a great job of like completely transforming it into a new arena but this is important, without completely destroying the character of the building. And if it goes wrong, look at Soldier Field. It's like, that's not Soldier Field. That's just some generic, 2000 stadium. That's not Soldier Field. I remember Soldier Field. It didn't look like that. You know what I mean? Like it's
like the UFO landed on top of the stadium.
Remember that?
And now they're moving, right? The Bears are actually going to move out to the suburbs, right? Aren't they?
Wait, is that true? They're going to get.
So, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's been like some kind of ballot initiatives for that, like to move out to like really far out too.
Well, I mean, it's not as big a deal with football because like you only go there once a week, so it's like it doesn't. They can play in Mars, and then I'm sure people will find a way to get there. Like I'm sure that it's not as big, but it sucks. But it's also like for the purpose of like sustainability, I think they can do it because it's just a once a week event, so they could probably do it. But you kind of wonder, like, then what is the impact of that for the rest of the season? What are you going to do with that building the rest of the year? That's
Football stadiums are the biggest joke to me.
Yeah, 100%.
And especially now, because I mean, not to go off on a tangent, but because you don't have those like big concert acts that, for whatever reason, we had when we were growing up. Like there would be like, 10 different bands that could fill a football arena, but we don't really have that anymore. I mean, there are a few, but not that many. And so the rest of the time it's mostly unused for 9 months of the year, 8 months of the year. It's empty.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think SoFi has that problem because like there actually are a couple of acts that can do it. Ed Sheeran was there last year. And we had Blink-182 just the other day, and I think there are still others that I think would never have a problem. Taylor Swift would never have any problem filling any arena.
Oh my gosh, no, not Taylor Swift, but when I was growing up, there were just huge rock arena bands.
Yeah.
That could sell out the Meadowlands, and that was that's familiar to me because that's where I grew up, But yeah, we don't have. There aren't as many acts,
Yeah, that's true.
There just aren't.
Yeah, definitely not as many bands that you could have confidence in filling in a football stadium. Right. Yeah,
right.
There's 100. There's no question. So yeah, this idea that the Bears are going to move to the suburbs that's just rooted in silliness. It makes sense for some teams. I actually think it made a lot of sense for the 49ers to do that because, to be honest, most of their fans were in the suburbs that they moved to. Most of their fan base was actually in South Bay anyway, so it's just actually kind of a smart. It actually worked out pretty well for them. But I don't think you would say that about the Bears. The Bears are ubiquitous; they're everywhere. Like all of Chicagoland gets into the Bears. I don't know what they're really. What they're going to be like closer to Champaign? I know they played in Champaign for a year when they were renovating the Soldier Field.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Arlington Heights or something like that is where they're talking about.
I don't think where that is.
I don't know the geography.
Arlington Heights might be further north. I'm trying to think. Like maybe more. Is that more towards Northwestern? I'm trying to think. We need to get a Chicago expert on here to figure that out, to help us figure that out. But, yeah, NFL's the word. But you're right. NFL's a joke with that sort of thing. It's just like there's no reason for them to move out of there. It's just dumb. It's such a money grab. The whole thing's a scam. Like you can see where I was coming from when I was talking about how like I'm just kind of like not. I'm just not that into the NFL like everybody else is these days. Like I'm not to say I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna stop watching. I'm not gonna stop following the sport, but it's just like I don't get the enthusiasm. It's just too much corporate greed and blah blah blah, and it's just kind of annoying.
Dave, you're preaching to the choir.
Yeah,
man. I haven't watched NFL
I know
in like a decade.
You were exactly the person that was looking. But yeah, you're totally right. And yeah, I mean, as you were talking about, like so much manufactured drama, like just a lot of like cultural pressure for you to care about something that sometimes you don't care about. Like, do I care about the Chiefs possibly winning what is it? It'll be like a 4th championship in 5 years. I mean, a little bit, yeah. But I'm kind of jaded by them too. I'm just kind of over that team as well. They're good, though.
Is that what they're at 4? They won 3 in 4 years now. Is that right?
That's my understanding. Yeah, I think so. Because like it was back to back, and then they won the one just before the pandemic against the Niners. So they won 2 of them against the Niners. Like it was that one, and then the one this Super Bowl that happened this year, and the year before they beat the Eagles. So it was kind of those are the 3. And so if they win again, it's a 3-peat. So that's a genuinely good storyline. See, that's a good storyline. That's something you will follow. I don't think they're going to be good enough to do that, but if they did, that'd be kind of amazing. But you get the idea. Like, they do love to hype things and like make talking points out of things that really aren't that big a deal. Like, there's way too many games. When I say that, I don't mean that like the season. The season's great. Like 17 games is like that's a perfect season. But 16 would have been a perfect season, but 17's still good. But they're trying to make people watch games on different nights of the week. You know, they're oversaturating. There's just there's so many complications with this league these days. Like back when it was just Sunday and Monday, that was pretty good. But now it's Sunday, Monday, Thursdays, and sometimes occasional Tuesdays.
Do they have Tuesday games now? Really?
Well, they did. I don't want to. I'm exaggerating, but when we were coming out of COVID or coming out of the shutdowns, there were so many postponements. They had games postponed to Mondays. They had games postponed to Tuesday, and it was trending towards having a game on Wednesday. And so there was almost at a point where they had a game every day of the week. It was getting ridiculous. It was getting crazy. But
my experience, from what I recall, Thursday Night Football was always not always, but usually a really poorly played game. And I think it's just the fact that there was just less preparation for that. You come off Sunday and you have fewer days to prepare, look at film and practice. And it just I thought the quality of the product suffered but that's
I agree.
Grade, you know.
Yeah. And not just for that game, but for the games that were before then on Sunday or the games after that on the next Sunday. It's just like, I just don't think it's reasonable to ask for that the entire season. And it has impacted like the quality of play for sure. Like, I don't think, especially early in the season, it's just like you do end up getting some poorly played games a lot of the time. And we've seen some pretty terrible blowouts on that series. And just, I'm not really vibing with it. So yeah, I mean, kind of just what you said. Like, I think I'm just kind of like, it's one of those things that people want me to care about more than I do. And like, I'm not caring about it, but it's just not, I don't have the passion like I used to, if that makes any sense.
Hey, life's too short, man. You know, do what you want to do and enjoy what you want to enjoy.
Yeah. I mean, I've made this point on the podcast before. Like it's not, like I said, it's not going to stop me from watching, but I'm just not going to watch every single game, every single play, and then like be like, oh my God. It's just like, it's just different. Like, you know, it's fine. Like I kind of appreciate it when there's sports that don't pressure me into enjoying them. I can just enjoy them on my own, like do it on my own time, so to speak. And baseball's like the best with that. Like, you can segue into baseball whenever you want. and it's there for you. That's kind of cool. Like, you don't have to watch the whole game to enjoy it, and that's cool too. Like, that's kind of nice. Like, hard to really explain that, but I just wore myself out. I'm sorry. I was rambling for too much, but yeah. But you're right. It's like life's too short. Like, do I need to rest my life? I do still like college football a lot, even though that's a whole other topic, which we're gonna get into with John later. But at least it's less corporate than less. And I say less. I'm not saying it's not corporate, but it's less corporate than NFL for sure. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not. It's hard to explain. Like, it really is crazy. Like, how these teams are corporations now. They're not even like teams anymore. They're brands, which is good. I mean, it's good. Like, that's sports are like that. I'm kind of like struggling to get out of this corner here, but Chris, like, maybe take us to break. I'm sorry. I just got really off topic, and I had no place to go. But
all good. No worries.
Yeah.
I'm with you there. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like I said, I'm still going to enjoy the sport, and it'll be good. It'll be worth. But I don't need to like watch every single. I don't know how to put this. I think it's overhyped. Is that fair? I think I would say that, but it deserves that because it deserves that because it's a huge sport. I get it. So
yeah.
Anyway, so anything we should look forward to in the off season before we wrap it up tonight?
I don't think so. I think it's just, we're almost we're in summer league, but in my mind, summer league is really Vegas now, and so it's summer league, and then we'll have a little dead period, and then training camps will start in the fall. But no, I mean, I feel like we covered it. The draft is over, free agency is mostly done. There are going to be, I think, small signings here and there, but. Maybe there's a blockbuster trade that kind of kicks off a flurry of moves coming. I mentioned the marketing possibility, but I don't think so, Dave. I think we're kind of, if you love summer league, which I do, that's it. And then we're looking forward to 24-25,
Cool beans. I love it. So, Chris, I say goodnight to him for now, but I look forward to our conversation next week over on Twitch when we will get into the meat of Nicolas Cage's movie career. I cannot wait for this show. This should be great.
I'm glad this piqued an interest in you, and I look forward to it too. And I do want to watch some of these movies because I feel like I'm going to show up to school unprepared. So I'm going to try to catch up on some of these in the next few days. Cool.
Well, Chris, thank you so much for taking time out to hang out with us tonight. I really do appreciate it. Have a good rest of your evening, and we'll chat with you soon.
Dave, the pleasure was all mine. Thanks for having me.
You bet. That's Chris in Georgia, folks. Boy, what a great time. Thank you again for Chris for breaking it all down as he does. He's such an expert with the NBA. Really, really good stuff. And yes, I do want to remind everybody, we are going to come back here. Well, we're not going to come back here. We're going to go back, but we're going to see you again on Twitch at twitch.tv/Davey's Eating a Sandwich for our Nicolas Cage tier list rankings. All the movies he's done. We'll have a good handle on some of them, and then the rest of them are up to you all in our audience to rank. We are taking all of your comments, all your ideas, all your rankings. We will do this together. It'll be really fun. So if you want to see that show, catch us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Davey's Eating a Sandwich, and we'll be ranking these films together. It'll be super cool. It'll be really fun. And he's had a great career, so I feel like it's not necessarily going to hit for a specific generation. I think multiple generations will be involved, and it should be a really, really cool show it should be a really fun time. So thank you again for joining us tonight. I'm Dave Medina. You can catch me in all the platforms as Davey's Eating a Sandwich. And I will be back on Twitch for sure on Wednesday when we have our friend the Rusty Panda joining in. And the two of us are going to be playing Portal 2, a classic game, a fun puzzle game that involves robots and portals, as the game name would suggest. It should be really fun. So catch us on Wednesday night from 9 o'clock till about 9 o'clock till 8 o'clock Eastern till we'll say midnight for now, but it could be later. And then next week over on the Sandwich Show, same channel, twitch.tv/Davey's Eating Sandwich. We have two shows. Monday, we're going to be hanging out with Jump for Joy, who's a good friend of ours, who's also a mod for many cool music channels. And then Tuesday next week, so 16th, we will have the Nicolas Cage tier list rankings. So very busy 2 weeks on the Sandwich Show. We appreciate you being here. I'm saying good night. Have a good rest of your evening. For those of you on the podcast, if you missed any part of this, you can catch... just rewind your podcast. But those of you who have been watching live, if you missed any part of this, you can find the replay of this program on our YouTube page. Look for Davey's Eating a Sandwich and catch us under the Sandwich Corner section of the YouTube page. And we are also available on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, and all the music platforms that are applicable. Good times. All right, so good night for now. We'll see you next time.